What's up, guys? It's morning time over here in Serbia. I'm like in the middle of nowhere. I'm at the edge of town on my dad's property where I think about making a house over here. So I want to talk about my first targeting. Basically, my TI testimonial that happened around 2004. Usually when I tell my story to my friends, it takes me about an hour and a half. I don't even know if my phone has that much memory. So it's important to me to say this right, and not rush it. But I'm not trying to stand out here for an hour and a half. But I just want you guys to understand why I talk the way I do and why I don't say certain things that other TIs talk about, mainly perps who want to mislead TIs. All right, so, a little bit about myself. I come from kind of a rough house, but I love my parents. God bless them. It's okay. Most people come from rough homes, especially if you don't come from privilege. Only privileged people come from like these fucking perfect, peachy, fucking plush lives. All right? So I come from somewhat of a rough home. Just discipline was prevalent in my household, all right? But, I have extremely low self-esteem and depression, anxiety, depression, and low self-esteem. All right, so when I was a teen, right, I had like a group of friends, right? And, throughout the neighborhood, I grew up on the Upper East Side because my dad was a resident manager, not because I'm fucking filthy rich. So me and the kids, around the neighborhood, there was like a few of us, like maybe 7 or 8. We were good friends. We all smoked weed. We all drank alcohol. If you ever watched that movie called Kids, it came out in 1995. That was also a few shots were filmed in actual my neighborhood. That was my lifestyle. Smoking, drinking, and bullshitting. That was my lifestyle. So when I was about 18, I started dating another neighborhood girl, right? But I was young. I didn't know like how to read women and how to treat women and how to respond to women, whatever. So she treated me like shit, right? And whatever. So I go away to Florida to actually see another girl, And then when I come back, she slept with 2 of my friends from my clique. Right? And I beefed with them, this and that, and then that whole clique just stopped fucking with me. Most of the whole clique stopped fucking with me because I beefed with the 2 kids, and I was no pushover. I'm not going to let no one fucking son me or do nothing, but which is stupid. If I could go back in time, you don't fucking fight people over your girl. You never, first of all, if you have to, you just leave your girl. Don't embarrass yourself. But I was a kid, I was a teen. And you got to learn not to put yourself in these situations in the first place. Don't fucking date whores, But, as a teen, this is how you learn. So, yeah. So then that whole clique kind of stopped fucking me. So I was alone. I had no one to hang out with. And plus, I felt bad because I did like this girl. And she cheated me on 2 of my friends. Of course, that felt bad. But she liked that she cheated on me with she was that type of piece of shit, So that whole clique stopped fucking with me. Oh, and by the way, I upgraded from her. And the girl I went to Florida to see, she came over there. And I actually had that girl in her house because I was cool with that girl's brother. You know what I mean? And when I walked out the house, she was coming in. And she got so pissed, And then, I completely turned the tables on that dumb bitch. Shit, that was well deserved of her. But anyway, so now I find myself not having friends. And to deal with that, and because I had no one to talk to, I kind of just smoked weed and drank on the streets by myself, listening to music until I felt good enough to go home and sleep. And this became a habit. And since I was so introverted, I had anxiety and depression and low self-esteem. It was hard for me to make other friends. The only time I really lived my life is with my brother. My brother was popular. He was famous. He was respected. For fun, he was a DJ, so I'd be at the clubs. I'd have the VIP part of the clubs. But other than that, most of the time I would just drink and smoke by the East River by myself until I felt good enough to go home, you know? And I believe that is when I became a person of concern. All right. That's when I became a person of concern. I'm going to do a video on the FBI threat assessment so you guys understand why. All right. Because the FBI says if you don't have social support, how are you going to get through the bad times in your life without social support? You might do something crazy. I check off a lot of boxes that the FBI threat assessment talks about when they profile you. So I started noticing, I didn't notice then that people I don't know me. I'm like, but again, YouTube just came out, so there was no TI community. So I had no idea what the fuck was going on. But I did notice that people that I don't know somehow know me. All right? Because when you're a person of concern, they tell your community about you, and that's it. Nothing happened. You're just a person, but you were put under surveillance. You will be followed in this and that. They don't let you know that you're being followed. All right? So, yeah. So for a while, I was just kind of and this became a habit later on in my life, All right, so I just kind of smoke and drink by myself at the river until I felt good enough to go home. And at that time, I wasn't really working. I didn't go to school, but I started working part-time, this and that. And, I found a new clique of friends, but they weren't really my friends. We were just people that we played basketball with, right? Because I was a baller. So I played basketball and I met other people from the neighborhood, but, I wouldn't consider them my boys. But, I did make other friends too, but for a long time, I was just smoking and drinking by myself. It was very depressing. And, yeah, so there was this kid called Terrence Granis. I'm going to make a video about him. And perception management and karma, all in the same video. I can make a video about that. So, whatever, we were all hanging out and this and that. And, why I really became a hard target is because I'm pretty certain that I got a part-time job, which was my full-time job now. I was doing part-time there. I used to work nights back then, and it was so stupid, but I was a kid, I was young. I went into one of the apartments because I was just so bored, and these people were billionaires, and I just wanted to see what their apartments were like, something like that. This was a long time ago. And I went into one of the apartments, and then, whatever, and then the next day, when I come to work, I'm about to get, on my shift, I see the doorman. He's looking at me like, I can tell something's flustering him. And I look down at the paper where we keep a log of the residents who are in and out. And it said something about the apartment I was in. I saw 3A, but he buffed it out. And I couldn't really read, but I could only read some of it. He buffed it out. And he looked mad nervous. No one said anything. That was it. That became a thing of the past. All right? So, and I only figured this out when I became a hard target for the second time. On my second investigation, I figured this out. So then they stopped calling me for part-time work. And then they called me to work again. And that's when I started getting gang stalked. But they did not let me know that's because I went into that apartment. How did they notice? Because obviously they look at you through walls. When you're a person of concern, you're surveilled 24/7. End of story. That's it. So, yeah, that's when the shit started. But the FBI had me believe that this kid, Terrence Granis, was solely behind my targeting. And I'm going to tell you why. We all got drunk one day, right? And, I was a kid. We was being stupid. This kid passed out on a chair. So I put my ass on his head and farted. We were kids. It's okay. You're drunk. This doesn't mean I'm a pedophile, fucking fag, or none of that. Doesn't mean none of that. We were kids being drunk, and him and other people, we were laughing. But then this other piece of shit kid, all he did was make fun of him because of that night for a long time. So this kid had a fucking vendetta against me. So, he already knew I was a person of concern, so he took advantage of this. And for so many years, I thought he was the only person behind my targeting. But this is how the FBI fucks with you and tries to entrap you. It's a lie. It's bullshit. He's not the reason I was put under investigation. I was put on a list before that because I started noticing people in my neighborhood who don't know me seem to know me, and that in of itself is a fucking trigger. So I'm gonna tell you about my first day that they started their full open investigation on me. And I already mentioned this in the video. I'm walking home from my part-time job, right? And I stop at the bank. And this kid, Terrence Granis, walks in right after me and starts kind of arguing with me, talking about, what's the matter, Trey? You're broke? I was broke, but how the fuck would he know that? And we start kind of light arguing, and I walk out the bank, and I turn to like walk towards my house, and I come across a girl, and I never seen her before, and she looks at me like I'm the biggest piece of shit pedophile in the world. And I'm looking at her, I'm like, damn, like, okay. And then 10 seconds later, another girl I've never seen before in my life looks at me like I'm the biggest pedophile piece of shit ever. And now that shit started giving me anxiety. I'm like, what the fuck? It's like, this kid came in, this bitch fucking did, and now another bitch did that. And that was my very first day of being gang stalked, and it only just got worse from there on. And this kid would constantly pop up, and randomly to like kind of start shit with me. So, I started noticing that people looked at me funny in the neighborhood, and even my acquaintances, not my close friends, they never told my close friends that I was a TI. They had no idea about this. Some of those friends are following my channel right now, and some of them comment. You see? Because, I don't understand how some TIs cannot tell their longtime friends about this and not have them believe me. The reason they believe I'm a TI because they know me and they know I'm not schizophrenic or delusional. So they believe me, When you tell new people this, they're going to first start to, oh, you're schizo. I maybe have 5 friends who follow my YouTube channel who believe me, So this kid would just constantly pop up in my targeting, I was still doing the smoking and drinking shit by myself, and he would pop up and be like, oh, Trey, yeah, what are you drinking by yourself? Like, what the fuck you want? It's like, just say that, we're all good and this will all end right now. You see, the cops really want me to believe that he's behind my targeting. And I'm like, what are you talking? I'm playing stupid, but I've noticed that everywhere I go, people look at me like I'm a piece of shit, And I'm like, what are you talking about? Yeah, okay, he did that. And then another time, I would be chilling somewhere, smoking a joint before I go to the park, and he would just constantly meet up and talk. She's like, no one likes you. No, and obviously I'm seeing that because they're informants, not people in the neighborhood, informants. Those 2 girls that passed me by in the bank, those weren't average people, just random people walking around the neighborhood. That was orchestrated for me to see them do this to me. See? Fake. Perception management. Fake. So he would always pop up and talk shit. You know what I mean? So many times. Another time he would talk shit like, I heard you were like a fat loser in high school. I'm like, how would you know that? How the fuck would he know? I was like, what are you talking about? I was like, yeah, I heard you were a fat loser. I'd be like, you're a fucking degenerate, low-life piece of shit. He'd be like, no one likes you. This kid was adopted, right? That means his real parents were too big of fucking scumbags to even hold on to this piece of shit. The assemblyman adopted him. And this guy has a house in Martha's Vineyard. He adopted this piece of shit. And you would think with all that privilege, he wouldn't be a scumbag. He was still a fucking scumbag. Because when you're a scumbag, it's like it's in his blood. It doesn't matter if you're now privileged. It's like it's in his blood to be a scumbag. But he was projecting all this shit against me because his friends were fucking making fun of him because of this one stupid day where we got drunk, which meant nothing, So many times they used this kid to trap me. Another time he was like, when I started noticing and complaining to my family, so I'm being followed because I was being followed. And he would meet up and whatever, because we live in the same, he lived a block away from me. He'd be like, yeah, no one likes you. I'm a strong and firm believer in karma. So all this is happening because of him. He said, I'm a strong and firm believer in karma. I'm going to just cut to the chase right now. That kid's dead. I guess you are a strong and firm believer in karma. You dead, motherfucker. You died 2 years ago. With all the privilege you had in the world from having someone with bread adopt you who's like a politician, you're still a piece of shit. You're still a fucking scumbag. And see, scumbags like this don't get put on threat assessments. Why? Because his dad has a house in Martha's Vineyard. The guy who adopted him is shaking hands with the fucking Bill Clinton. Is that why they don't go put on threat assessments? But little old me, whose fucking parents come from former third world Yugoslavia, gets put on a threat assessment. You fucking coward, pussy, fucking human trafficking FBI pieces of shit. So this was a constant theme. This fucking kid would just pop up nowhere and talk shit, you know, so many times, you know. Eventually they stopped using him and they just use other people. Like I would go to the club with my brother, right? And then again, I notice people I don't. They're like talking and looking at me. Talking, and everywhere I go, people are looking at me like they know me. That's a trigger in of itself. You know what I mean? And then eventually people started recording me with their cameras. And I think that was to modify my behavior. Because when I used to do coke, yeah, I had a little stint with cocaine. I grew up in New York City. That shit is everywhere. I was a young guy in my fucking early 20s, you know, late teens, whatever. This early 20s, because this lasted for years in New York City. So, you know, every time I would do coke, of course, people started recording me with their phones to make me uncomfortable. Like they want to like modify our behavior. I stopped doing coke because I looked in the mirror one day and my throat was fucking throbbing. I was like, okay, I'm gonna stop doing coke. They never modified my behavior. I did that myself because my throat was fucking throbbing, you know. Oh God, there's so many instances. So then, like I had a little scrap with some other kids, right? Like I was drunk one day and I walked out, and because they're going to interview and investigate people in your community and find dirt on you. So these like Jersey kids who used to hang out in my neighborhood, like I was pissy drunk one day and I was wrong. I said some sly shit and the kid said some sly shit back. We started fighting and then like we fell to the floor and I slammed his fucking head on a flower bed. And I took his chain in my hand and I left it there. I was like, I'm not going to rob this kid. It was an accident. People are allowed to make mistakes. But when you're a TI, you're not allowed to make a mistake because they made a business out of you. So his brother, like he had an older brother, would like came up to me and talked to me. He was like, yo, just like, you know, don't mess with him. I'm like, nigga, you going to do something? Do something. He's like, yo, just leave my brother. I was like, all right, fine. It was an accident. I was drunk. It was stupid. You don't got to worry about that, bro. Like, you know, it was an accident. It's okay. You know, that doesn't defy who I am as a person. You know what I mean? So now, when they were done using Terrence Granis, because they could not get me to fight him, you know, they used his brother now. So now I'm walking to get weed, and I see his brother in the car, and he honks his horn at me, and they start laughing. Ha ha ha, like that. I'm like, what the fuck? Like, this nigga, are you serious? And then another time, this is how pathetic they are. I'm in a cab with two girls, right? One is my brother's girl, one is another girl, and we're on the way downtown to a club because my brother's throwing a party. He's DJing somewhere tonight. I look to my left on the fucking FDR highway. Again, these motherfuckers are next to me in the car laughing at me. Nigga, I'm with two girls. You in the car filled with guys. You laughing at me? That was fake. It's orchestrated. I'm spitting. That was fake and orchestrated. You see? And at that point, I was like, yo, this thing is following me around, laughing at me? Oh, word? All right. Another day, later on, I'm going to the bar. I'm by myself. I'm walking. I hear behind me. I turn around. It's him. It's him. You see? How did he just end up just there? Remember, this is before YouTube came out. Nobody knew what was going on. This is an investigation, believe that. So I turn around and it's him, and I was like, okay, like what? Like they wanted me to like start shit with him. No, I just kept walking. I'm turning around. I was like, okay, this nigga again. Like whatever. I'm well dressed. I'm on my way to the bar. I don't got time for that shit. You know what I mean? And then eventually they stopped using him. You know. But I started noticing that everywhere out, like your acquaintances who don't want nothing to do with you is because the cops are going around telling you you're under investigation. So you'll have people kind of cut you off, but they weren't my real friends. My real friends know who I am and they would have told me, You know what I'm saying? Because you got to understand about the NSA database and how the FBI uses that, and they figure out your connections, who you don't know, who's close to you. You know, they know all this, and they use that. So, you know, I had a lot of acquaintances that just wanted to keep a distance with me, you know? And then that started making, like, I noticed this, and it started making me even more isolated and more nervous and more paranoid and more low self-esteem, more anxiety, more depression. You know, this was ongoing. And when I tried to explain to my family that I was getting followed and my friends, they all thought I was crazy because I couldn't articulate what was going on. Again, there was no YouTube, fucking YouTube just came out around that time, you know. There was no TI community, but believe me, that's being a hard target. A hard target is when you commit a crime or you come close to committing a crime and then you notice fishy shit starts happening. That's what being a hard target is. Or you find out that you're targeted, then you become a hard target. That's what a hard target is. You know, there's no such thing as someone's targeting is harder than yours, yo. That's just people's fucking heads, you know. So, you know, this was going on for fucking years, man. And like, I used to walk by women and just put my head down. And I've missed so many opportunities because these pieces of shit, man. You know, they attacked my self-esteem immediately. Whatever self-esteem I had left, they had to make sure they attacked that shit. You know? So many instances like that started happening, you know? And, you know? And I told you, even before I became a hard target, again, I saw in the park that two black guys came with a white guy in a dog leash and asked me, like, yeah, he's our slave. He likes when we piss in his mouth. You want to piss in his mouth? They wanted to see if I was going to piss in somebody's mouth. And then what? You're going to go around tell neighbor, yo, he needs to be investigated. He's pissing in people's mouths. Fucking in human trafficking pieces of shit. This was before I became a hard target. So I had no idea how to connect that. Anyway, you know, and yeah, so this shit started going on for years, you know, and then it started people recording me with their phones and laughing. Like that became a trigger, you know. And then my family wanted to move to California. And I was like, all right, here's my chance for a new start. I'm not going to tell none of my friends I'm moving. I'm just going to leave. And maybe I get a new start. Maybe motherfuckers will stop recording me with their phone. I thought this kid, Terrence Granis, like made a website about me. How would people know about me, you know? So then when I moved to California, my targeting actually got worse. You know, they induced agoraphobia into me. That's a mental disorder when you perceive your environment to be dangerous or you have anxiety every time. They do this to you, you know, to the point where I remember one of the first times I became a target. Like when I moved to California, I walked outside Knott's Berry Farm because I was staying in there until my dad was establishing his business. You know, we was going in a construction business, and I was, you know, so I walk outside Knott's Berry Farm and I'm standing on the corners. All right, let me see if people know me, you know. Let me see if people know me. Lo and behold, they had to send somebody in a car to look back at me. I've always got those looks. So here we go again. People that I don't know seem to know me. So I put in my head that this kid, Terrence Granis, made a website about me, right? And that's why people were recording me with their phones to put a website about me. You know, I didn't know how else to make sense of this. And then the triggers, they started adding more triggers. It was in California, right? And it's not New York City. You need a car in California. So I had a car. And, you know, they started honking their horns. Again, plausibly deniable. Everyone honks their horns. Everywhere I went, motherfuckers had to record me with their phones, bro. You know, that became a big trigger. And also running past me. People would walk, and when they got in front of me, they would run real quick and then walk again. That would further, you know, reinforce that they put me on the website because people are recording me. And to not be on the website because people are taking pictures of me, they had to run past me. Just, you know, just in case someone snaps a picture of me and they're in it. Now they're on a website. This is what I thought. This is how demoralizing this shit was, you know? And then, man, the triggers got worse, bro. I became a full-blown alcoholic before that I was an alcoholic because I started isolating myself because of their shenanigans. I was scared to go out. Why am I going to go out if everyone knows I'm a piece of shit? I'm going to just drink and stay home. And this became a trope in my life, getting fucked up by myself until I felt better. Like, they fuck you up, man, you know? So, yeah, I was an alcoholic, and I've had my stretches of when I was sober, but it was hard, man. It was really fucking hard, yo. Everywhere I went, people seemed to know me. I go to a restaurant, people would seem to know me. Now I know that's the multi-layered surveillance and a floating box following you around to inform people, and to tell them, oh yeah, he's under investigation. Keep an eye on him. Maybe they tell, oh, this is a trigger, laugh at him. I got laughed at. I got ran past. I got people recording their phones with me. People honking their fucking horns at me. One time I was working on the roof, right? Because I was in a roofing business. Business was booming back then. That was before 2008 when the economy went to shit, which is when I moved back to New York. So, what was I going to say? Yeah, so I'm working one time, and every fucking car that passed by, this was in Santa Ana, California. This is where Carrot Top used to live, because I see them pass by sometimes. He would not honk his horn at me. He didn't know. These were perps honking the horn at me, not the community. Or I don't know. Anyway, so they would honk their horn to the point where even my foreman started cursing. Chinga madre, pute tu madre. It's like, it started annoying him. Me, I was trying my best to ignore it. So what happened is at lunchtime, I get in my car, I'm driving down to get lunch, and I reach an intersection in the back roads, and lo and behold, another car pulls up from the side and stops. 4 people, they all stop, they all point at me, and they bust. I've never seen people laugh this hard before, and then they just, I'm just like, that shit fucked me up for days. I was like, I can't go out. What's going on? What's happening to me? This kid made a website. I didn't do anything wrong. Perception management. It's a lie. It's smoke and mirrors. It's bullshit. It's not real. But I didn't know that. Targeting was different back then. Not would you know what's going on? They'll change it up as they did by targeting in the present day time now. So many instances of that happening. And by the way, the girl that I upgraded from my other whore girlfriend, like, she lived in Florida, I lived in New York, and to like kind of teach me a lesson, because she thought I wasn't she thought I wasn't about her. So one summer she did not come and see me, and I took that very hard. This was right before I moved to California. And, I also drank because of her. I was missing her. And the 3 years I spent in California, I didn't have one friend. I had another whore girl who lived there who comes from extreme privilege, so I don't vibe with her. I would see her every now and then, but that's it. I had no friends for 3 years, and missing this fucking girl like crazy, because I couldn't live my life and move on and like a normal human being could, because I was getting gang stalked, and they made me agoraphobic. I was scared to leave my house most days, But how other than, I've had stretches where I was sober, where I would be really into the gym, really into working out and all that, So, yeah. So, so many crazy shit happened, so much crazy shit happened, And so now, in 2008, the economy crashed, right? So business was slow. So I was like, yo, my family stayed there. And I was like, let me move to New York. Let me figure something out. I moved to New York. I think I stayed with my brother for a little bit. And then I got my own place. And, and then thank God I got the job that I have now. All right. It was like 15 years ago. I finally got a full-time job, And I did apply for jobs back then, and I wasn't getting none, but that's because the economy was shit and jobs were scarce. So I don't know what people are talking about, that they keep you from working. It says nothing about in the threat assessment that they keep you from working. Maybe it's something with you. Maybe you're lazy. So I got this job, right? And I started working, and then since I worked a doorman job, right? And when I was standing at the building, they started the shit. They're running past me, running past me, running past me. I'm like, what the fuck? Yo, one day I had like 70 people just run past me. And then what they did, they had a person across the street who lived in the building, they had him do it too. Now I'm like, wait, what? Why would he do that? He don't even know me. Like, he's a part of this shit? You see, a part of what exactly? You see? A part of what? You know? Then he did it a few times, then he stopped. You know, I'm like, damn. You know, and I used to tell and by the time I moved back to New York, I got back with that Florida girl. You know, we reconnected, and she started visiting me, and that's when I stopped drinking. You know, when I had her, I don't know, I felt better. I don't know. I stopped drinking at that point. Thank God. I used to drink a bottle of E and J a night by myself again. You know, I was introverted. I was antisocial because they made me. I wanted to be social, but when you go outside, you just get demoralized. You know, I had anxiety. I had an depression. It's very tough for me that young to make friends, you know. So, yeah, we're back together. And, you know, the shit started dying out for a while. The triggers, you know. There'd be time where I'm smoking weed with her and the girl would run, and then walk. And I'm looking at her. You see? Look, that's what I'm talking about. Like, yeah, what's that about? And I'm thinking, did she not want the weed smoke? Because I was smoking joint. You know, they're probably doing that because you're getting high and they want you to, I don't know. But that was a trigger, right? And then I took up boxing, right? Like, I don't know, maybe, I don't know what year, you know, like maybe 2011. I took up amateur boxing. And then I really started noticing the gang stalking died out, you know? And I used to thought, oh, now niggas not gonna fuck with me because I box now, right? That's what I used to thought. But there was one trigger remaining. That was the run right past you after God, like fucking 7 years, bro. Fucking like after God 8 years, bro. Fuck, you know? I still started noticing that there was that one trigger left. So I'm going to work one day and I noticed, again, they sent the trigger, the conditioned stimuli, the stimuli you're conditioned to freak out. Someone to run right past me and then walk. And I always used to turn my head to make sense of it. Are you running for a bus? Are you running for me? What is that? What is that? I could not explain it. What is this phenomenon that everyone's keeping from me? This website, what the fuck? You know? And then they kept doing it. And one day they did it and I told myself, you know what? This shit is fucking stupid. It does nothing for me. You know what I mean? It doesn't do anything to me. They're not touching me. It's fucking stupid. I'm not paying attention to this shit anymore. I'm not going to fucking look back anymore. This is fucking stupid. It's a waste of time. Fuck them. And then the next day, you know, they've done it a few times and I would never turn my head back. I was like, I wouldn't even shake my head. I was like, just go about my business. I ignored it. And then it stopped. And then it stopped. I've never seen, the triggers, all that bullshit, the anxiety from people not knowing, everything stopped. See? Everything stopped. If I would have kept turning my head round and making a big deal out of it, they would have kept doing it. You see? So, and if you read the FBI threat assessment, you'll understand why they stopped. But you want to talk about fucking Freemasonry, you know? And yeah, it stopped. And I almost got married and I traveled the world and I've been to the Cayman Islands, you know. Oh, during my first targeting, I went to Hawaii with my family and they had a trigger again. People looking at me like I don't know me. Like anywhere you go, this would follow you. So then, yeah, my targeting literally stopped. I didn't even notice that it stopped. I didn't even notice it right away. I just remember one day, like, I don't need to feel ashamed of myself. There's nothing, like, it just kind of disappeared and I didn't even notice it. But now thinking back, now I know why it ended. Now I'm challenging you targets and you perps, because I have more perps on my channel, especially the ones that comment. I'm challenging both of you, targets and perps. I beg you, explain to me, where does Freemasonry fit into that? Explain to me. Explain to me where Freemasonry fits into my story I just told you right now. There's much more detail, but, you know, I don't have that much time to talk about it. Explain to me Where does Freemasonry fit into that? And yes, they used directed conversation back in the day, you know, like once or twice, not like today. Now they use it every fucking day with me. Explain to me, I'm challenging you, perps and TIs, where does Freemasonry fit in this? During my second targeting, I recorded a building that I know the Freemasons built this building. And I'm making a video and I was going to post it. Like, look, this is what Freemasons do. This is what it is. The day after that, they had a guy with a book bag at my job with the number 33 walk by me with a book bag. And I'm like, okay. And then the next day, the same guy with the number 33 on his bag walked by again. I'm like, it's because I made that video. And Freemasonry is a common trope amongst the TI community. And I never gave it a second. I was like, these motherfuckers is stupid. Then it stopped. I put on everything. If I was like, 33, it's a Freemason. Oh my God. Till this day, till today, I would have seen number 33 or 32 or Freemason emblems and yada, yada, yada. They're fucking with your head. Whatever gets you pissed, whatever gets you scared, they're going to use it. Again, I'm going to ask you, where does Freemasonry fit in this? This is why I don't talk about Freemasonry. I don't got time to talk about dumb shit, yo. I got targeted over 20 years ago. You know, they put me under an investigation, right? And now they're doing it again. And neither targeting has anything to do with Freemasonry. What it is perception management. You know what I mean? So I'm going to do now a video about my second targeting, which is bananas, yo. My confusion stage, I didn't think I was going to survive that shit. You know? My confusion stage at first, during my first targeting, was easier to deal with than my second one. Holy shit. You know, but yes, my harassment, the investigation ended. I stopped being a hard target because they saw, do you know how to deal with, you know, life's ills? Do you think everyone is after you? Do you know how to process your emotions? If someone's running by me, I'm going to beat them up. Do I know how to process? This is all talks about it in the FBI threat assessment. Guess what else the FBI threat assessment talks about? They had a case where one of their targets kept talking about he was being poisoned, so he didn't want to eat. He was scared to order food. So they went undercover to give this nigga food that was packaged so he would fucking eat. Who talks about being poisoned? Who talks about that? Who? Huh? This is on the FBI threat assessment. Not, the Freemasons, yo. I'm not, yo. You know? Now you guys know why I'm never going to talk about Freemasonry. You guys make this shit like it's something else. Like you put, like you're all the way up here and it's about Freemasons. And see, like, guys, you're a person of concern. And when you're a hard target, that means you're under an investigation. You either committed a crime, came close to committing a crime, you know? Crazy shit like that. You know? So to me, this is an investigation. But what does an investigation have to do with putting voices in people's heads? And they put an image in my head during my second targeting to sensitize me to bring it. What does that have to do with an investigation? This is where it starts falling into the realm of human experimentation. Behavior modification in and of itself is human experimentation, you know? How the fuck you know how I'm going to react to your bullshit? You trying to modify behavior. You experiment. That falls in the realms of experimentation. You know? So yeah, my targeting ended because I even seen another TI who's also sensitized to the nose touching. You know, he doesn't put a lot of content up anymore, but he made a video recently and it was like, oh, it's been 5 years, man. And like he's making a video and someone walked by and he touched his nose and he responded, you see, he touched his nose. You see, let it go, bro. You forgot that people touch their nose? Let it go, bro. Just like the people running past me, he ran past. That's harder to ignore because they only do it for you. You know what I mean? But I told myself, this is so fun. And I spoke out loud because, you know, I used to smoke weed and I'd have my head and I'd be speaking out loud. Somehow they must have heard that. And I was like, you know what? I'm never going to turn my head around. I'm never going to pay attention to it again. And they did it the next day and I did not turn my head. I just went about my business and then it stopped. And then I didn't even notice it stopped. It's not like, oh, I'm free. You just notice you don't get anxiety anymore. You don't get upset anymore. Then you're free. It ended. It absolutely ended. Now I want all the perps to go in my comment section and talk some dumb shit right now. Go ahead. Leave me some dumb, misleading information on my comment section. And again, I'm challenging you perps and you TIs alike. Tell me, where does Freemasonry fit into this? All right. Now I'm gonna make another video about my second targeting. So now you're gonna be able to tie both experiences together, and then you're gonna start seeing, what this really is later.